All right, folks, it is just about that time, but first, I gotta make good on something. Now, see, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I had some money riding on this run. Now, me and our runner, mechalink, we were talking, and mechalink explained to me that the load times in virtual Hydlide are exactly 20 seconds. Now, we went ahead and took that as a challenge. So every time there is a load in this game, barring the first one, Link is going to throw it to me, and I am going to try to read a donation comment or a blurb. And for everyone that I get inside the load time, I'm going to donate $1 towards Runner's Choice Chaos for that bid war on the Metroid. And for each one I fail, I'm going to donate $4. Now, this is keyed down. I originally had it at 5, but I do have a budget, and we have 4 extra loads because this is all dungeons.
That's
Specifically.
right.
Oh, nah, go for it.
Okay.
You know
You
better than
paused.
I do.
You paused, so I jumped.
I did.
Everybody. So first, thanks to Rakiel for trying this crazy idea.
Ooh.
Sorry, this wild idea.
I got the long blurbs pulled up too. I'm playing it risky.
You're ready. I love it. Love it. All right. So this is Virtual Hydlide, Saturn game, 94-95. The frame rate, people always talk about it. It is bad, but people don't talk about those load times. So I'm glad that we're doing this. So this is still a seeded run, but you're gonna see a seed not only that I've never run fully in public before, but you're going to see 3 things that maybe less than 50 people have ever seen before. And after this run, right, like the majority of people who've seen it will in fact be the people who are watching. So it's gonna be a time. I'm gonna show off some things. I spent the last month prepping for GDQ, and I found some things that I did not know a month ago. So with all of that, we are going to get ready to get started. And I need to confirm this, and then in 20 seconds, we'll start the clock. I'll let you know when that happens. All right, so this seed is something, there are 4 billion virtual Hydlide seeds. We have programs to help us work through them, to help generate them, to help figure out what maps they will have, and I've been using that to try and figure out an optimal route for the AGDQ run in a month. And Power Up with Pride has generously accepted the run as well. All right, go! All right, so first thing we're going to do is the Fairy Forest. The Fairy Forest is a hot and cold game. And you are supposed to listen for where the thing, but we're speedrunners, so we know we're just going to hit that corner and move on with our lives. So that's the first fairy gotten. You're not supposed to get that till the end of the game if you're following the route, but obviously we are speedrunners. All right, so now I turn right around and go down to cross a bridge. There it is. That's the bridge I want to cross. All right, and I do this because I want to come into the next zone from this direction. There is a compass. You can see that. It'll be useful right now. And it will stop being useful for a while, and then it will be useful again. But yeah, this is a remake of the original Hydlide. It is much more feature-rich and quality of life. All right, here comes the first load. All right, it's going to take 20 seconds to get into the graveyard. So, ready, set, go!
You are watching Winter Pride 2023 here on Twitch, run by Power Up with Pride. We are running from December 14th through December 17th for about 18 hours each day. We are benefiting the Point of Pride. To find out more about them, you can find the link to their site in the panels below the stream or use charity in chat. If you are interested in donating, you can type donate in chat, find the schedule by using schedule, or see the incentives with incentives. Stay tuned for this.
Not quite. That's the wrong chest. They're both up in this corner, though. This is a real quick in and out. Get the crucifix. We don't need it in any way. Well, actually, we do. This is all dungeons. In any percent, we wouldn't need it. Here's a small load. Go.
The money we raised will go to Point of Pride's various support programs, such as their annual Transgender Surgery Fund, which is a scholarship-like program that provides direct financial assistance to trans folks who cannot afford their gender-affirming surgery.
All right, that's fair. This is a small load because it doesn't have to generate maps and items, right? Each time we enter, we get the full 20 seconds because it has to generate a map and items. So inbounds are 20, outbounds are like 15. All right, so, all right, so we did that. Now we're gonna go. We're going to skip. The compass is telling us to go to the southwest. We are going to ignore it because we're speedrunners, and we are going to go to the northeast and find the ruins. The ruins are supposed to be handled by, like, they've got, their gimmick is that they've got kind of like a lens of truth type thing going on. We know where all of the secret passages are because I mapped this seed yesterday. And so we're not going to have to worry about any of that needing to see where the secret passages are. We are going to need to worry about turning. No, it's going a little too far north. The entrance is on the north side of this sucker, so we need to turn around. Come in. Here we go. I'm going to swoop in. There's the sign that tells us you need the lens of truth, and we don't. All right. Go.
Power Up with Pride has partnered with The Yeti to bring you shirts based on various runs throughout the event. These awesome designs will only be around as long as the marathon is, so make sure you pick them up now. $5 for each shirt sale goes directly to Point of Pride. Visit theyeti.com to check them all out.
Nice. All right. I thought, yeah, that's the person in the chat was correcting that. All right, so this is the ruins. This is, if you remember kind of the graveyard area in the original Hydlide with all the, no, sorry, this is just the maze with the ropers in it. This is the maze with the ropers in it. We take a right at that shield. It's only a shield +1, not really interested. I'm only interested in one shield, and this isn't where it is. In all dungeons, we don't even have to find that shield. They just give it to us. It's real nice. In any percent, you kind of have to find it. Right, so, yep, running through this big maze. Again, largely mapped this out beforehand, so I don't have to think about this too much. All right, so at the end of the maze, there are 3 boxes you can see on the maze. Those have items in them every time. They are fixed. But there's a secret door into them, and that secret door could be on any of the 9 squares. So that's always a little up to figuring that out, but this is the thing we need. It's a tool. It's the Fiat Flame Amulet, but it's a tool. Right. And, oh, hey. Oh, actually, we can't Death Warp here because I didn't pick up the armor I need. So I need to get the plate armor here despite the fairy armor, the best armor in the game, being right down the corner, because the item generation in this game actually looks at whether you have the plate armor in some dungeons to determine what items it should generate. Because it's trying to make sure you have at least the plate armor. Very nice of it. But that also changes what other items are generated in small ways. So in this case, I absolutely need the plate armor to save myself an absolute gob of time in a slightly later dungeon. So we are going to make sure we get that. Wait, no, I have to pick up the poison because the item route is such. Sorry. Poison's here. That potion is poison. Don't drink it.
We have a very important question from the chat. When Jim goes through the forest, does that make him a jungle Jim?
I think of it more as forest than jungle. But I think that's a reasonable read. He's a knight, always a knight.
Well, you're the expert.
It's true. It's true. I think of those tiles as forests because they thin out into forests. Right. The tiles are actually like there's forest and then there's thinner forest and then there's thinner forest yet. All right.
Is it actually called thinner forest yet?
That's what I call there are 3 phases of there's like a core forest. It's like thick and full, and then like there's less, and then there's less, more less, and then there are tiles that aren't forest at all. Right. And so mountains are similar. Like all of the regions have a similar kind of like less of the major region it is kind of terrain setup. I mean, of course, this is all randomly generated, right? So like that's, it generates 500 forest tiles, right? And then it kind of smooths them out, right? Like, so you can see like, there's those trees leading into like this dense area, right? You can see those brown trees leading into it, and then you see these brown trees and stuff leading out of it, right? Like we're in a lightly forested area now, right? That's part of the random generation. Long run. Don't love it.
Our wonderful assistant Sushi Kishi says all the cross map running Jim does keeps him a slim Jim.
Yeah. This is a fit night. That's for sure. And look at that shiny leather armor.
I do love this run cycle.
It's a pretty good run cycle. He's just hunched over slightly, just We are going to the shop. This is an early shop, but I can buy the things I need, and so I don't really care. Technically, I could come back with more money, but I don't need. All right, so we're going to buy the Stone of Fighter. It does something pretty awesome and really actually essential for the route I want it. I'm going to buy Tranks in case I get caught by mimics. Get out of here. Mimics have a bad status effect. You don't want to suffer it. And it's not likely I will, but it's not 0% either. All right, so now we're going to the trial dungeon. This is also out of order. You're supposed to come here when you have a lamp so you can see. We're not going to be able to see, and that's fine. It doesn't save you any frames to be unable to see. They render all those things even if they're black. So yeah, now people joke about this being a golf agent. It is literally like there's a published golf. Oh, go.
Oh, we have merch for the event. Adorable mugs, t-shirts, tote bags, and hoodies are all available in support of Point of Pride. You can type merch in the chat to get links to both of our Winter Pride 2023 store and the Point of Pride store.
All right.
That one's to make up for me reading an old blurb by mistake.
Yep. All right, so this map is terrible. This is one of the reasons why I don't think this is like a world record style seed. Because usually the trial dungeons are really simple. This is not. It is, however, the trial dungeon with a couple levels under your belt isn't really a problem. Your levels affect your health visibly, but they also affect your base attack and defense by +10 for all of them. So after a couple levels, right, like I might as well be wearing the plate armor I picked up as compared to the leather armor I started with. Right, since I've gotten 3 major pickups, 3 levels. This is a marked change from Hydlide, which was famous or infamous for its massive amount of grinding necessary to make any progress. Even the speed run has a significant grind portion. In a 15-minute speed run, there is a significant grind portion. That is how grindy the original Hydlide is.
So there's an interesting question. I noticed there's a timer on screen. Is that the timer that we use for timing the game, or do you use an external timer?
We use an external timer. IGT saves and loads are valid and useful. Additionally, we do death warps and continues, right? And we want all of this stuff to track correctly. So, right, like IGT, right, like using IGT, you could do it, but it would create some perverse incentives that we've never really pursued. It's not a huge community per se, but like we've never really been interested in trying to do IGT because yeah, it just does weird things with saves and like it technically might be faster to do deaths in places where it would otherwise make no sense because of those rules. All right, so we picked up a shield and a tool. The shield is important and the tool is not important because it's the lens of truth that we didn't use earlier. But this is all dungeons, so you gotta get it even if you don't use it. The shield is the unarguable most useful shield in the game. It's not the best on the numbers, but it is by far the most useful in that it actually blocks bosses' attacks and the other shield doesn't. So like I'm going with that one. Going with the one that actually blocks things, as opposed to one that doesn't. Normally shields provide defense when you hold them up, right? Like so it's like you have, X many extra defense. But they also, the dragon shield, which is the one that I picked up and have been praising, offers elemental resistances, and those elemental resistances negate the biggest threats in the game. Things that can auto kill you or things you can't reasonably avoid having appear. There are a number of bosses that have flame attacks like that, including the worst attack from the final boss. So, despite it not being the strongest on the numbers, it is the strongest for any normal monster. All right, we found the end, but we can't see, so we got to find that tile. All right, good. We're out.
For Winter Pride 2023, we're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization that has helped members of the LGBTQ plus community gain access to the care they need to live the lives they deserve since 2016. If you'd like to apply for one of Point of Pride's grants or garment programs, get involved as a donor or volunteer, or just learn more about them, visit pointofpride.org.
Nice. Great work there.
Ooh, I didn't think I was going to make that one.
Yeah. People, you got to get into some donations for both to make our host read them and because host is doing something new, something interesting. You got to support that. We've got a couple runs left. We've got Gargoyle's Quest right after this. We've got Planets finishing things up. And Planets has that bid war, right? So get those donations in. Get us over 7,000. You can do it. Jim can't, but you can.
I'm gonna be totally
Jim has a very limited set of actions. All right, here's the second optional dungeon is coming up. We skipped this in any percent. The trial dungeon, the one we just did, and then the vampire's mansion. We skip both of them because they don't give us things we need. As I said, we don't need the lens, and we don't need the lamp for the trial dungeon either. Right? Like we don't need it for anything, but we're gonna go get it anyway. And so this is why we actually need the crucifix, right? Like you're supposed to take the crucifix to the vampire, to the trial dungeon, to the ruins, right? Like that would be the normal progression. That's what the compass will follow you to. The blue line will point you in those directions, right? But we don't need any of that. What we need is the thing at the end of the ruins. That thing we needed. All right. We got to find 5 orbs here. So get all of your orb enjoying out here, because you got orbs to touch. Despite these chairs being in the way, this orb, you can just move right up to it. Talk about, objects being a suggestion. I wanted to go in that door, Hydlide. Would you figure that a game like this, because of the low frame rate, would have some difficulty with, like, detection thing? I did not need a second dagger. I need to drop that.
No way, isn't this truly the first Skyrim?
I mean, I gotta say that, right, like, in terms of Newtopia inspiredness, right, like, I mean, the original Hydlide was clearly inspired by Newtopia, so, right, like, this is one of the few 3D games that can be claimed to be inspired by Newtopia. That's for Vani, who is our next runner. All right, that's 3 orbs on the bottom floor. Turn this around and get...
Yeah, Vani just popped up in chat say, wait, I heard Newtopia, what's going on?
Yeah, you would. All right. I got distracted by Newtopia. Turned around. All right. 2 more orbs. One here. Right. This one's to the right, and the other one's to the left. Orb. Yeah, this is the Vampire's Mansion. You can see why you might not want to do this in a speed run. Which is why I'm glad that it's generally out of any percent. But again, you donated to make it happen. $750 of donations. This is what you donated for: bats and orbs, and swiftly stabbing a vampire to death with a dagger. If that's something you're interested in, coming right up here. A crucifix and a dagger. Do you need anything else?
Is this a load, or I can't?
No, it's just a door. This is like the select the 2 player text from the golf game backwards. Is what they used for his voice there. Where's my...
Wait, this is actually based on a golf game?
Yes, like this is not a joke. The T&E softs, like if you look up like T&E softs, like say a golf game, like this is like the engine is a golf engine, right? Like they reuse that for virtual Hydlide. Yep, we just stabbed him to death. Crucifix makes your weapon holy, and that's good enough for me. Don't need the crucifix anymore. So. Firing. Second. Put on plate armor. Yeah, second too. Empire's going to escape, and it's going to take him like 10 seconds to do it. He enjoys wasting my time. It explains everything. It really does. Like the frame rate, because it's optimized for a different game type, right? Like it explains everything, right? Golf games, like, so for those who aren't programmers, when you do 3D engines, you often optimize them. When you do any graphical engine, you optimize them for the use case, right? Like, do I need to have a lot of sprites? Do I need to have a lot of things moving at the same time? Are they only moving in the same direction, right? Like an auto, like, you know, a shooter game, load time, go.
All right, Sporadic Erratic donates $150. Says, this seems like a really great time to get my dono in. 7K hype!
I do like that. It's good energy.
I wondered if I was tempted to just hold out the hype for as long as I could.
For 10 seconds? Only if you practice. But yeah,
no, training has not taken me to that level yet.
No, but like no shooters, right? Like you know, side scrollers have different demands than et cetera, right? Like action RPGs have different demands than golf games. Like a golf game can be very pretty with its own engine, right? Like, but you never use it for, right? Like for this case because it's doing different things, right? Like you have more moving objects on the screen. You know how many objects are moving in a golf game at once?
Like
one
max.
One, right? Like the golf ball, right? Like everything else is static, right? Like you might move your viewpoint. Okay, here's the thing. There's an elevator in the overworld. It's hidden somewhere randomly on the overworld every seed. There's 2 of them. Inside this one is a sword. So, having seen this, you are now one of the few people in the world who has seen the elevator and the floor in virtual Hydlide. There are 2 in every seed. They have chests in each of them.
Do they count as
better? But this is something that very few people have seen. Have seen those elevators in the floor. But the weapon I got is a weapon.
Anonymous says, Chaos and Hazards? Let's go for $15.
Woo! Love Chaos. As I said with you, where like Chaos means that Chaos might save them, but it might also damn them with the hazardous rooms. Right, like, because the hazardous rooms put hazardous rooms into logic, so like your thing could be required. Right, but it could be like as bad as like, oh, all of my first power bomb is behind a hazardous room or something, right? Like just real basic stuff, or like I got to go to a hazardous room to get my first super missiles, right? Like that is much more unlikely in the balanced case than the chaos case. So if you want that kind of suffering, that chest is only what I want if I'm wearing the plate armor entering this dungeon. Like that tool I picked up, very important, and also not available to me unless I'm wearing the plate armor entering this dungeon. That is something else we've discovered in the past month that we did not know, that the game's generation tries to throw you some, again, like I mentioned before, tries to throw you some, hey, right, like we want to make sure that you have this thing, right? We want to make sure you don't get destroyed, like you don't have any opportunity to access a plate armor. Right, so if you have one, we'll generate without a guaranteed plate armor. If you don't, we will generate a guaranteed plate armor, right? Which is a nice feature, but it means that we have 2 different sets of items on the map depending on whether we're wearing a plate armor or not. All right, so this volcano is not the shortest, but it is probably one of the least painfully windy volcanoes you've ever seen. A volcano is typically a mess of a dungeon when it's randomly generated. This is just a whole bunch of straight shots with very little squirreliness. A volcano also has the highest number of possible like terrain glitches in terms of like having things go through other things. That's again like this is just a very, very extremely simple volcano. It's not the shortest, but it is one of the simplest volcanoes you will ever see, which is good because this is one of the lowest frame rate areas in the game. If you like low frame rates, this is the section of the game for you. All right. Whew. This is just a boss load, but here's where we're gonna do the thing. So, traditionally, you fight this dragon by blocking its fire shots. We are going to fight it. I'm gonna put on the super medic and we are going to put on that stone of fighter. Oh, okay. I'm actually not going to put on the super medic because the dragon shield. Its face is stone. Don't need it. All right, so you need the fire amulet to keep you alive in here. I just took it off because the thunder sword with the sword of fighter on has a 3 dragon wide projectile, and I don't have to worry about it moving in. Normally you can see there's a gap between me and it. Every previous runner of the game has had to get the kill by waiting for it to move up to it and then stab it repeatedly in the face and hope for a 1 cycle. That is gone with Thunder Sword. You just ranged attack it to death. And that's the Mad Dragon fight. One of the fastest Mad Dragon fights anybody has ever seen. Alright, so we're gonna get a necessary tool here. It's gonna fall from the sky. I don't know how that works. Great.
All right, so for the people waiting for the Metroid run, we just...
I'm on fire.
Oh.
This is an intentional death warp, but it's only because I took off the fire amulet that I can do that quickly.
Mad Mega says, hello to everyone at Power... Oh, wait, I'm confused now. When does this load start?
There'll be a load exiting the dungeon in a second.
Okay.
These are also kind of loads, but they get interrupted by the continue screen in a weird way.
Okay. Okay. All right. Because the next load, I got some big news.
Yeah, love it. All right. So the other things nice about the volcano is you can actually back hop out of it. All right, go.
Mad Mega sends $50 and says, hello to everyone at Power Up with Pride. It's been a great weekend. Thanks to everyone who's participated and done such a wonderful job. Thank you very much. And more excitingly, Jason LaRose says, Chaos and 7K, wee! Sends in $256, smashing the 7K donation incentive. We have achieved Heck Mode.
Woo! Nicely done, everybody. All right. So this is important, right? Like, so the volcano is here. The next dungeon is 5 tiles to the north. That seems really good. How did I find a seed that good? By iterating over all 4 billion seeds with a program and setting my characteristics for I only want to look at a seed to be any good if the second to last dungeon is within 3 of the third to last dungeon. And that's where the second is within 5 of the third. That's where we are. The last 3 dungeons are incredibly close to each other, in a way that is unnatural. But when you can examine all of the seeds, over like a day or so by computer generation, go ahead.
This is Winter Pride 2023 running all weekend. If you missed any runs in the marathon so far, you can find them uploaded after the marathon on our YouTube channel. You can also stay up to date on this event and any future events by following us on Co-Host, Blue Sky, or Mastodon, kind.social, or by joining our Discord. Links to all of these can be found in the panels below the stream or by using social and chat. Darn it.
Darn it. All right.
Yeah, I've been having a good streak.
Yeah, I'm having a good streak. So yes, this floor we will not be even considering any chests because they're all mimics. Well, not all of them, but almost all of them are mimics. I'm not interested in that. No! Oh, we get to see Panic. Panic is like Secret of Mana Confused, but worse in every way because it keeps constantly changing. This is why we buy the tranquilizers, so we don't just die instantly to mimics. There you go. Don't always see that. Don't often see that, but chests just jump in the way.
You just drink that and you're not panicked anymore? I could use some of those.
Yeah, I know, right? Tranquilizers. If you can't make your own, store-bought is okay. All right.
That's how I do it with estrogen.
That's how I do it with ADHD, depression, all that good stuff.
The brain juice.
The brain juices. That's right. All right, so this is going to be 5 relatively short walks. These are all pretty good. You'll notice that I'm kind of diagonal running through these, right? Like because we have a strafe and we have a run forward, so we can do both at the same time. This prevents me from having to turn as much, which is a useful thing because turning takes frames. Whereas strafe running doesn't take any extra frames. In fact, it probably saves frames. All right, so if we are 5 kilograms or less, we can get on this minecart according to that sign. And there we go. We are 5 pounds or less. Somehow. Or they didn't implement that. That's another option. They didn't implement that in the game. I'm gonna run with that one instead. This is the minecart sequence. One of the best sounding minecarts in video games. Don't at me.
Country, eat your heart out.
That's right. Donkey Kong Country wishes it was in 3D. Hey, look at that! Listen to that stop.
Okay, so
that metal stop there. That metal stop right there, like that's good minecart sounds. Strafe run some more. Corner, then we can strafe run the opposite direction without turning. I'm gonna turn because correct always. Yes, the last possible. This way, and then...
You'd think the frame rate would mean that I have more time to analyze what's going on with the movement, but
it's too choppy!
It's really the opposite.
Right, like that's like the original sin of Hydlide is the frame rate, right? Like a virtual Hydlide. Like, why is it clunky? Because of the frame rate. Why is it, right, like, why is it, you know, difficult to do? Because of the frame rate, right? Why can't I see what's going on correctly? Because of the frame rate, right? Running in this game, right, like, just skips like entire segments of existence, right? Like this is what running looks like, and it's just like I legitimately don't know exactly what's happening. That's why you'll see me run past like my targets, right? Like because you can't see them until it's too late. There's no smoothness. Like all of the sins of virtual Hydlide are because of the frame rate. Like if you were to give this game a tuning so that the frame rate was good and change nothing else, right, like the game would suddenly become, right, like just very good. In fact, on emulator, that's exactly what happens. You get more than double the frame rate, and it turns what is a clunky game into a less clunky and much more viewable game. Still below like a 60 frame per second expectation, but much, much more playable.
Jason LaRose in chat does point out, you get cool is a sin that has nothing to do with the frame rate.
Oh, no. Dude, that's not a sin, right? Like, this game has a robust identify system, like any roguelike should, right? Like, it has a scroll of uncurse, and it has a scroll of turn your item to herb. So if you don't know which scroll you're reading, and you don't know what you're targeting, both of them have the same interface, right? Like, and so you could blind fire destroy your cool new item. Like,
I didn't realize that was like an intentional mechanic.
Yes, like,
I thought
and
that
every
was just they only programmed a single tooltip.
No, it's intentional. Like, and every item has a bad version of it. Like that potion I picked up, right? Like it came up as potion, right? Like it's a potion, right? Like, but it's poison, right? Like if you don't identify it and you drink it blind, you get poison. Right? Like everything in the game has that. There's a curse mechanic, right? Like cursed weapons and stuff, right? Like, right? Like there are, weapons that, look like they might be good ones, and they aren't. Although the dark sword, which is often curses, it's not that bad. The cursed ring is terrible, always, 100% of the time. One of the worst rings in existence.
Jason has apologized, says, now I feel bad using reverse sound assets from the golf game as my backup sin.
That is a sin, yes. But actually, so I would argue that's a good idea, and this is kind of, remember the Pokemon discussion about, like, reusing assets, right?
Yeah,
like, having the model, right? Like, it saves space and it saves time, right? Like, it saves effort, it saves money, and that money gets to be spent on the game, right? Hopefully. I have no idea what they spent their budget on at T&E Soft, but... Oh, crud. Dang it.
Oh,
That's
goodness.
bad. Oh, that's significant time loss because I didn't safety save. I wanted to find the JP version and run it, but I couldn't find my JP version. It's somewhere around here. But I'm gonna have to run through the dungeon again, so that's a couple minutes of time loss. Don't love it. But yeah.
Well, while
Usually
we're
if I
running through, would you mind if I
Mhm.
remind the people why we're here at a reasonable and relaxed pace?
Absolutely not. Yeah, the continue screen, Flannel Cat is absolutely hilarious. Like the continue screen is like a fighting game continue screen.
Continue!
Continue? Exactly. It's
All right.
hilarious. All right, go ahead.
So, folks, we are in fact here for the final night of Winter Pride 2023. We are benefiting Point of Pride, and when you donate to Point of Pride using the !donate command in chat, you will have the chance to, donate money. And it's all going to Point of Pride, but on the way there, you can still help us decide a few things about the marathon. We made 7K. We made this run, this All Dungeons run happen. So now, all that's left is to decide just how much of a time our finale runners are gonna have. So currently, there is a poll, a bid war between the chaos and balanced item distribution for our Metroid Planets finale, and chaos is so in the lead that it loops all the way back around to being really funny. We have $157 and a valiant 23 cents for balanced, and $962 for chaos.
Nice.
People really want to see these Metroid runners go through it, and you know what?
Honestly, the most likely outcome of chaos is they get something really good, right? Like out of the gate, right?
Oh
because,
yeah, no, like screw attack day one.
But the flip side is if they don't get that, like it's a hunt everywhere situation, right? Like it's like, well, no gods, no masters, no laws, no probability distributions. Like this is our lives now. But yeah, like it's so randomizer rules, right? Like you are almost always more powerful in the early game than you would be in the comparable early game of the game itself, right? Because some random thing is going to come to you that is better than what you would have in those chests. Otherwise, right, like the randomization is incredibly smooth, right? Like that's just the case, right? So that's chaos makes that even more the case, right? Like there's likely going to be something that's very good. Right, like, but the flip side is, right, like
the wall.
You're gonna hit the wall, and it's gonna be like, oh, like here are these things we need, and they're hidden in, like, they're not balanced. They're all hidden behind the worst room in the game, right? Like it's just like, or they're all hidden behind Crocomire, right? Like it's just like they shouldn't be balanced that way, but this is chaos, right? So, swingier
for chaos mode. According to Flannel Cat, items can be logically locked after Mother Brain Room if her room has more than 2 doors.
Nice. That is amazing.
It's Metroid Planets, so that could very well happen.
Yeah, Metroid Planets is a really cool, right? Like it's a conceptual fusion of like a Mario Maker style game, right? Like with a randomizer. Essentially, right, like people Mario make these Zelda these isolated rooms because Metroid has isolated rooms. Right, and then like you can cobble them together. Like you have huge room packs, right? Like and you can cobble them together via settings, right? And then you get a unique Metroid-like experience, right? Like in NES Metroid style. Right, it's a very cool concept. Really love what I've seen of it. But my focus has been a little bit heavy on virtual Hydlide since I've seen it. So fastest I've gotten the kill with the thunder on this guy is in three blasts because it can multi-hit.
Ooh.
Kind of have to get it center mass to get that. You also see me swinging at him. This is something that, see, look at that hit. Big numbers there.
Ooh.
But yeah, this, so the fact that you can swing at this one and get him to set down more consistently, as many as 4 or 5 times in a row, actually, if you set it up right, is something that Zofar and I found in the last year of world record fighting for any percent and all dungeons. He played US originally, so he became much better at the boss fights because, as you see, a death in a boss fight is a huge time loss. In Japanese, as Jair has shown off previously, you have 2 or 3, you have like a second after you die to give yourself health. Fairy Tears is the thing I picked up in the volcano. It keeps me from having to walk out. Fantastic. Loading time. Go.
Our very own Scala Kitty has created some amazing designs that you can purchase for yourself and support Point of Pride at the same time. Type merch in chat to get the link to the bonfire store and take home some of your own loot today.
I like that idea of the dude just running on the mine tracks and the minecart sound.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, and then the final dungeon is right here, right down the street.
And we'll get the next thing up then.
Thank you. The ability to simulate all of the virtual Hydlide initial map generation in Rust that Sear Sky developed because of Author Blue's desire to do this sort of research. Go.
For Winter Pride 2023, we're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. The vast majority of recipients of their services are trans youth, folks living with disabilities and chronic illness, and folks living in rural and unaffirming regions. Your support ensures that they can receive the affirming care they need.
Nice. All right, this is a teleporter maze. Oh no, it's not that much of a teleporter maze. If it is a teleporter maze, it just so happens that in every seed I've ever played, it never involves going outside of the lower left-hand corner, right? Like there's always a route that is, completely just like non-costly. Like you don't ever have to go out of your way, right? Like there's always a solution that doesn't involve going out of your way. Now the power core. On this floor of the power core, there is a weapon that is essential for speed. You absolutely need it for speed. Of course, I've mapped this out. So I know that it's right over here. These sliding block puzzles are fixed cycle type stuff. Sometimes they're not linked cycles. Some of the puzzles are legitimately... that is a mimic. We are not interested. That is not a mimic. This is the Sword of Light chest. The Sword of Light. I'm going to continue to ignore this mimic. Right.
It's for the best, really.
And then we're going to go from the south side to the north side. Block's going to come back, and we're going to ride it to the other side. And we're going to run corner-wise onto this block here. Here. Real quick. Dang it. I ran up the wrong hallway. It's a real quick run to the... Ow. Bit. Go if you manage to get on the right side of the wall real quick to the elevator. Yeah, this dungeon is somewhat offensively 3D, and like the flashing lights do not help. It's not strobing. Not great, but
I kind of love it.
That's fair.
I kind of love this early
Mm-hmm.
super.
It is cool. Like it is cool in its own way, right? Like just reveling in it exactly.
I'm also just a sucker for like magic that looks like science, so
yes,
that's part of it.
This is the power core is definitely that. Stop stabbing me. I'm gonna need that health for the eel later. That's right. They turned a normal enemy into a boss because you don't. In this version of Hydlide, you don't like go in the rivers. In the original, you could go in like the rivers and you could fight eels. Or kind of super bossy, like they're pretty tough. The speed run fights eels very effectively to get its levels.
Eels
Using the
mud crabs could run.
We're using the worst spell in the game to make the grind easier. It's pretty funny if you've never watched the original Hydlide run. All right, this is the eel. This is like every other boss you've seen, except for the dragon, a teleporting boss. And that's not going to change. Every single boss for the rest of the game is essentially a teleporting boss. The mage, essentially a teleporting boss. You can't hit it except when it's down. Right? Like every single boss in this game, except for the dragon, is a teleporting boss.
It's true champion can stand there and trade blows with an eel.
If he makes me, yeah, if you don't hit him within 2 of the things, right, like he will stop trading blows. Right. Or like he'll duck down and move to another place. But,
Wait, you were reflecting the shots?
no, I was trading blows with it.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's that like if you don't keep up the trade, he disappears. Right? Like he will not sit there and continue blasting you. Like he will vanish. He'll go underwater and reappear in another place if you don't keep trading. All right. This is, if you got all 3 fairies by this point, which is a sequence break, they will teleport you out of here to the final dungeon. Otherwise, you have to go back to the fairy forest and get the 3rd fairy. In higher difficulties, you are stuck doing that, more or less. Loading.
We're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization, and they've served tens of thousands of people in all 50 states and 100+ countries by providing access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. The money we raise will go to Point of Pride's various support programs, such as their Electrolysis Support Fund, which is a scholarship-like program, I'm just going to finish it at this point, that provides direct financial assistance to trans people in need of permanent hair removal services they cannot otherwise afford.
All right, Vampire 2. Vampire, but it spawns bats that can paralyze you. By the way, there's no heal for paralysis in the game that I know of. So this time the bat appears but will not escape. And that's Vampire 2. We didn't have to equip the crucifix because the Sword of Light is a holy weapon. Additionally, you may note the Sword of Light is shooting 3 projectiles. That is because of the Stone of Fighter. Normally, it would only shoot 1. So in the same way the Stone of Fighter gave me a double wide lightning, it's giving me a holy weapon that is 3 bullets instead of 1. And if they all hit correctly, you do in fact get triple the damage. You can see there he set down twice in a row. Right, like that's staying close and correctly managing his hitbox is a way to get the evil mage and wizard set down faster, instead of the old strategies where it essentially sit in a place and be ready to projectile them. Right, sit in the center and be ready to projectile them. Just wait for the RNG to be in your favor. Not interested in that anymore. Because both Zophar and I have proven that you can do better. It does take some work to kind of finesse down, because if you are actually in his box when he's on the ground, he will immediately pick up again. But if you can figure out the movement, you can make that fight a lot easier. Alright, and now on to the final boss. Just like in original Hydlide, nope, actually original Hydlide didn't have the crystals, did it? The gems. Not in the same way. With all the fairies. If you pick up 3 gems in this game, you can make the final boss weaker and easier to track in his teleports. But it takes like 10 seconds at the beginning of the fight and doesn't actually do enough. Also, it locks you out of the item menu for the entire time. Not great. Time is on last hit. Essentially, this game goes from first input to last input. Okay. good range to hit him with all three. If you crit, he'll change his mind. Oh, I'm so very lucky that he got crit there, because I didn't have my shield up. And he would have murdered me. Well, at 800 health, he probably wouldn't have. Now he's teleported. Now it's
shield.
Yeah. The shield will stop all the damage from his Vegeta-style rapid fire blast. Just hope that he doesn't teleport too much. One more position. No. Go the way too quickly. There you are. Way too quickly. Come on, buddy. Now I have to hit the guy. Done! It's time for virtual Hydlide. Perilous has been defeated. And the CD video will commence.
Looks like it is 47:26 on the clock.
That sounds about right for that time loss. Now here you get to watch where they probably spent all of their budget on mocap and CD video frames. And also every single thing they put on this woman's dress. It is greebled the heck and back. Look at this. Look at that detail. Yeah.
They either spent the whole budget on that, or they just, like, one of the developers just dug out their wedding gown.
Right. And then the evil weird dungeon disappears and everything in Fairyland is back the way it was before. Virtual Hydlide! It looks like a pretty sick dress, I gotta be honest.
It does, yeah.
That was Virtual Hydlide, easy, fixed seed, all dungeons. Yeah, there are higher difficulties. They are interesting to route. On fixed seed, I'd be willing to do any of them in a marathon, because I could route them. On random seed, that's a lot dicier. In the higher difficulties, you don't get a map at all.
Oh.
Which, in anywhere, even in the dungeons, it's real nasty. Imagine some of those dungeons without maps, right? Like just grinding through them, a horde of mimics, like you would have to. Ugh,
Oh.
they're rough ones. Okay, and the final screen, copyright Sega Enterprises, of course. T&E Soft, of course. 1984, which was when it was originally released on MSX, not NES. 95. Congratulations, period. Congratulations, period. Yep.
Congratulations.
And that's the thing that's in the background, right? Like of the continue screen is just, it's that frame, but in green tone. Then you get your final score, because this game is scored. Even though your score is your money, it's also your score.
Just like real life.
Just like real life. My rank is number 5 because this was easy. The higher ranks have higher.
Aww.
The higher ranks have higher scores. Anyway, that was Virtual Hydlide. Thank you all for watching this, for donating to see more frames, and letting me show off some things that again, right, like you may be amongst like the, number of watchers plus 50 people that have ever seen that elevator, that have ever seen the Thunder Sword in action. Because we just found that. And like there's no facts mentioning it. There's like, we have nothing on it. I still haven't gotten a copy of Atlas's strategy guide. Somewhere in the world, Atlas printed a strategy guide for this, and I'd love to see what it had in its contents. But went for the US version, right? But I haven't gotten a copy of that yet. So yeah, we found out about this via the work that we've been doing to try and optimize the route. we found some items that were at like they were like 4,000 on the z-axis, and we're like, where the heck are those? And then we found the elevators. Anyway.
So, anything to plug?
You'll see me on Mechalink on Twitch. I do have an AGDQ run. I'm in an awful block. At 6:30 in the morning Eastern time. On that Thursday.
The golf game this was based on, right?
No, I'm playing this. I am playing this. I do want to find that golf game. I actually probably have it somewhere. But yeah, the opening FMV, it's the same FMV as is in Hydlide, right? Like Verilus attacks the princess, breaks it up into 3 fairies, right? Like, but with more graphics because we have a CD now. But it's actually kind of essentially the same intro as the original Hydlide, because it is, again, a remake. Atlas are the publishers. This was right, like, in the 90s, right, like, Atlas was a publisher more than a developer, in the US, right? Like, a lot of games, like, in the same way that Working Designs got things across the ocean, Atlas was another one of those people getting things across the ocean to us, right? Like, in the 90s. Right, like they were more known for that than they were for development. Oh, and like they weren't a great publisher either. No. Anyway, that's my time. Onward to Vani. Gargoyles Quest 2 is an SNES classic that always deserves more attention. And I am looking forward to seeing it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That was a delight.
It's
so
a lot.
So
it's
much
a lot
happened.
to take in. It's a lot to take in. Where like, and I talk very fast to try and get through all of the knowledge I can lay out. You did great. Again, shout outs for an excellent bit, and everybody stick around. We got gargoyles, we got planets, we got metroids, we got people.
Man, people just keep doing my job today. It's great.
Yep.
But well,
Princess lowercase Lena. Princess Lena.
What a time.
What a time.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That was Mechalink with Virtual Hydlide. And I feel like we are all a little bonded after that run by, if by nothing else, we all know about the sword elevator. And what a game, what a rich, wonderful tapestry video games are. So stick around, because like they said, we have Gargoyles Quest. Let me try that one again. You know what? I'm gonna. No, okay. I was gonna add more to my donation after to cover for that, but it's at a nice 25 right now. You know, just in case anyone wants to match me. So I'm gonna go get that in, but don't go too far, because we do have Gargoyles Quest 2 with Vani Van coming up in just a few minutes. All right, folks. I am just about done here, which means we are just about done here, but we've still got a little bit of time left, and we're going to make the most of it. So first off, we have a $25 donation from Barachile. Burachile, that seems right. That says, as promised, for loads. And reminds us all. Thank you, Rajazzy. And reminds us all that when you donate to Point of Pride, a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization, you can select a poll to put your money towards, such as the Metroid Planet item distribution. For our finale, you can influence how bad of a time our runners have. Currently, Chaos is dominating with $157.23 for Balanced to $987 for Chaos. But if you guys want to take pity, there's still time for some Angel to come along